Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow From E5B. Today we're going to take you through how we prepare our hydrangeas for winter.
And how we prepare our roses for winter.
So what I'm going to share with you today is how we get our hydrangeas ready for winter. This is not a hydrangea pruning video. This is a hydrangea deadheading video. And some people may say, but Eric, Christopher, why don't you leave your hydrangea blooms up over the winter for winter interest? And we have done that in the past. Our area is very cold and wet in the wintertime. We very often get heavy, icy snow. And what that does is it gathers on these blooms and it weighs them down and the branches snap. And then we lose lots of branching in our panicle hydrangeas. So the first thing I wanted to do was start with a panicle hydrangea to show you kind of how we go through and deadhead them for the winter. This is what we do in our garden. Feel free to do whatever you like in your garden. So panicles are the easiest to deadhead because you can pretty much deadhead them wherever you want. You're just going to go through and, oh, hello neighbor. You're going to go through and we're going to just cut them off and leave as much of the stem as possible. It doesn't really matter where you cut them because what's going to happen is in the springtime, I'm going to come back through and I'm going to prune them with intention. So right now it's just about deadheading. This is not pruning for next season's growth. Not worrying about making it pretty, not worried about making it perfect. What I'm doing is I'm cutting off these dried blooms so that ice and snow don't accumulate on them and break the branches over the winter time. So again, this is a panicle hydrangea. And Christopher, what does it mean to be a panicle hydrangea?
It means it blooms on new wood. So you can do whatever you need to do and they will be fine to bloom for you next year.
Yeah, and look at the shape of the bloom. It's a panicle, so that's a dead giveaway. If you have a bloom in your garden that looks like this on one of your hydrangea shrubs, that looks like a cone, that means it blooms on new wood, and you can go ahead and deadhead it now. You could prune it now if you wanted, but it is recommended to prune in the springtime for shaping and things like that. What's the difference between pruning and deadheading, Christopher?
Deadheading is just getting rid of the old blooms. Pruning is with intention to create shape and structure and form.
And yeah, a growth, health of the plant, size control. None of this deadheading is going to size control this shrub. This has been a great hydrangea. This is a vanilla strawberry. Did I say that yet?
No, I don't know if you mentioned that.
This is a vanilla strawberry hydrangea, and I love the dark stems on it, and it has nice dark green foliage, big blooms. Take a look at that structure it's created in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, take a look down here. It's a sturdy shrub.
And look at the size of that dried bloom. I mean, if you like a brown bloom, I guess you could cut these and bring these inside, but I don't know many people who do. Or you could maybe like spray paint them gold and shove them in your Christmas tree.
That would be kind of fun. These are well past the point of saving. You know, they're all papery and falling apart. These do dry well, and when they are in that dark pink phase, I think they really do hold nicely.
And I do love actually pruning the hydrangeas and being methodical about the shape and stuff like that. So I can't wait to share that with you in the spring. Right now, we're just deadheading. Smaller blooms I don't have to cut off, but I might as well.
Yeah, it would look weird if there was just a couple little babies hanging around for the winter.
We almost have an entire pop-up bag full of hydrangea blooms. All right, so I feel like
that'll do it.
Is enough deadheading for this vanilla strawberry hydrangea. Obviously, it's not as pretty, but again, we're not doing it for looks. We're doing it for health and longevity of our shrub.
And honestly, once the rest of the leaves fall off, it'll be perfectly fine for winter.
Yeah. So let's move on to another variety of hydrangea and what we're going to do with it. So right here we have our firelight tidbit hydrangeas, and these get about 3 by 3. They are also panicle hydrangeas. You can tell they're panicle hydrangeas because they have more of a cone shape, which means, again, they bloom on new wood. So we could deadhead them now and it wouldn't impact next year's blooms. We could even prune them up now. Not ideal, but we could. These are so nice and compact and the branches are so intertwined. I'm going to leave them. This is not something where they're going to get so weighed down that they're going to flop and snap. So these I'm leaving. Winter interest, all that good stuff. Here we have our Gatsby pink Oakleaf hydrangea. Fall color is amazing on the Oakleaf hydrangea. I love it. I highly recommend them. They're shade tolerant. You can put them in your shady area, not full dark shade. I mean, they do need sun, but they're great. But Oakleafs bloom on old wood. That means that next year's flowers are hiding in here. You can see them already getting ready to go for next year. So we are deadheading this Oakleaf hydrangea. We are not pruning it. So let's take a look at this first big cone right here. Can you get in here, Christopher? We're going to come in here, and at the very base of this cone, I'm just going to cut. I'm not cutting off anything else because there's flowers in there. But again, I'm deadheading, not pruning, because I want to protect this shrub from getting covered in our heavy, wet, icy snow that we get here in upstate New York and snapping, which it has done in the past. So this is lesson learned.
If you notice, there's really no bloom here, I'll point out, in this center section. That is because a pretty big branch snapped over last winter, and that meant there was only new growth that didn't have any bud set.
Yes.
So next year we'll have lots more flowers in there.
Do you have to deadhead these? Absolutely not. The blooms will dry, they'll blow away. I bet if we left them, they would probably just crumble up and blow away, but I hate to risk it after that giant branch because it kind of has left our oak leaf a little misshapen. So even if I cut off the majority of the bloom that would catch the snow,
You'll feel better.
I'll feel better. So we're being very careful not to prune anything underneath the actual bloom. I can't get over the color on Oakleaf hydrangeas. They are such an astounding shrub to have in your garden. And they look terrible in the can at the garden center. Did you ever notice that?
Yes, you definitely don't feel like you want to buy them when you see them in a garden center. There's something about this particular kind of hydrangea that does not respond well to being in a little plastic bucket. But once it's in the ground for a season, they kind of explode.
Teasing George is attacking me.
Teasing George is getting taken care of in a little while, don't worry.
I gotta get back there.
I would not go that way. I would go over. Oh, you're gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it. Ow. Ow.
That's why I wouldn't have done it.
Ow. We're okay, people. Oh, Georgia. Oh my gosh, Christopher, the bark in here is so pretty. Oakleaf hydrangeas have that peeling bark.
All right,
It's very appealing.
I'm diving in. I'm diving in. Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So again, I'm not taking off all the biggest ones.
Ow! I am not even close to that rose and it got me. Jump.
Maybe.
You got this. Ooh, sorry, Chuck.
Oh, Georgia.
The whole trellis moved.
Did it?
Yes.
Well, it's because I'm so petite.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, so Christopher, planning down here, this is our Let's Dance Skyview. Let's Dance Skyview blooms on old or new wood. It blooms on old wood and
New wood.
new wood. So we could just leave it. We could cut it to the ground next spring and we'd still get flowers, but we don't want to do that.
No, we want some size.
So this is one where we're going to deadhead very carefully. Unlike a panicle, which blooms on new wood willy-nilly, this one we're going to be very judicious about how we deadhead. We're going to come down here Take a look at the very base of the flower, right? Can you see that?
Yes, I can see. You're
And
not
cut right underneath the flower head. Was that clear?
That was very clear. Not even getting into the meat of the plant.
Yeah.
Just snipping off that bloom. This is a very baby plant. This was only planted this year. So we don't want any of these stems to be damaged.
And I'm sure a lot of people will say, no, what are you doing? But we know our winters.
And I was just reading about El Nino and all these different climate factors. We're expecting a mild temperature winter, but it could be very snowy. And if it's mild and heavy snow, that could mean
what gets our shrubs.
the wet, icy.
So far we've covered Panicle, Oakleaf,
Macrophylla.
hybrid macrophylla. Let's keep going. So right here we have a lime Ricky hydrangea, which is an Annabelle type hydrangea. Annabelles also bloom on new wood, just like panicles. And they have more of a flatter bloom, a looser bloom, and they are like pretty much a native in North America. Right, Christopher?
Yes, they are.
So these, again, we're just deadheading. We're not pruning. We'll go back in the spring and prune, because what's going to happen is the snow's going to get on these blooms and weigh it down. So lime Ricky blooms on new wood. We don't have to worry about where we're cutting. You can see we've had a little bit of deer damage going on right here. I know these blooms will, if we leave them, just crumble up and blow away, right? But we don't want to risk it. So how am I going to get back to the back of lime Ricky? And this is why we have this river rock around our house.
Not only does it keep,
purpose.
Yeah, not only does it keep water away from the foundation, it also gives us a little path to work behind the plants.
This was planted last year and has done very well for us. I missed.
Good job.
I know, I feel like I keep saying it over and over again, but this is not a pruning video. This is a deadheading to prepare our hydrangeas for winter. Very specific to our garden and our climate.
5B, heavy wet snow.
I'm really falling in love with Annabelle hydrangeas. They're amazing. And then Christopher, come on over here. Look at this light o'day hydrangea, which never bloomed, so we don't have to deadhead it.
It's seen better days.
But also, look, it looks like there's two of them. I wonder if we can divide it.
Wait, you're right.
I think they put two in the can.
Those look like two completely separate plants.
Sometimes growers will do that to bolster the can to make it look like it's a bigger size than it actually is.
How interesting.
So I'm not going to do anything to that one because it didn't bloom this year, so it has nothing to deadhead. So
goodbye, astilbes.
Did I just crush the astilbes?
Just one or two, but that's okay. They get crushed by those hydrangeas and that viburnum anyway.
There you go. Limelight Prime.
Panicle.
Panicle hydrangea blooms on new wood. We can do anything we want with it. It'll be fine. Again, just going to deadhead it to prepare it for winter. Doesn't matter where I cut. It's Panicle because it's shaped like a cone.
It's going to be really fun to trim this willow up again. I think it was such a success turning this into a pollarded tree form willow.
Oh, I love it. I think it's so cool. On our garden tour, so many people just stopped and stared at it because they'd never seen anything like it in our area. And we are doing the Open Days garden tour again next year.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. In our hydrangea room,
we don't have bloom.
We're fine.
We're fine. This does not need any work.
Yeah, that's good. Like, not enough to warrant it. The rubies are short, and we don't have to deadhead them, but I'm going to deadhead them only just for cleanliness purposes.
Dressed up evening gown and pistachio ambrosia our really beautiful coral bells.
There he goes, pushing his coral bells again.
I love to push a coral bell.
This is a particularly nice grouping of coral bells.
I
really
always
like
win them
it.
over with the coral bells.
Yeah.
I think these rubies are going to do some magic for us next year.
I love these. Look at this beautiful drift of Invincible Spirit 2. Again, Annabelle type. We can tell because they're kind of that flat.
Mophead.
Bloom on new wood, so we can't go wrong. And again, we're just deadheading to ensure the safety of our stems. We're not pruning these. You'll also notice behind these Invincible Spirit 2s, there is a Quickfire standard, which we originally planted
at the front of a border.
No, it's always kind of been at the back, but oh, there's remnants of the bird nest that was in there this spring.
Oh yeah, we had a very successful happy bird nest in there.
Yeah, that's such a nice compact standard form right now. I don't think I need to prune it this time of year.
No, and I think the lace caps like Quickfire, they don't seem to get as weighed down.
Yes, Quickfire is a panicle hydrangea, but it is a lace cap panicle. And what that means is that the showier flowers on the outside that don't have any pollen or anything in them for pollinators are very spread out and floaty, but then the actual like flowers are on the inside. So right here we have our Invincible Mini Mauvettes. We don't need to prune anything on those. Not prune, deadhead.
Ooh.
Coming around this way, we have our Quickfires, Panicles, bloom on new wood. We're not going to deadhead those. They're so light and lacy, they don't need it. The Pinky Winkies, I think, will be fine. They're another type of lace cap. Yeah.
Very strong stems on Pinky Winky.
So we don't have to worry about anything in the east mixed border. I am going to, because these are kind of a baby and I love them so much and I don't want anything bad to ever happen to them. These Sublimes, even though they're getting demolished by deer. Sublimes are an Annabelle type hydrangea. They bloom on new wood. So I'm deadheading them willy-nilly just to protect the stems from the weight of the winter snow. In the spring, we'll come back and kind of finesse the pruning, cut out dead branches, look for signs of spring growth or buds or anything like that. There's a total of 6 Sublimes in this hedge right here. They are planted about 3 feet apart on center. They're going to get pretty big though, so I might have...
Oh, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, what they're going to do is they're just going to form a beautiful mass. They are what you would say, or what you would call, sublime.
They're the best.
I feel like that's good.
That's good.
Follow me this way. We have Quickfire Fabs. Quickfire Fabs are a panicle type hydrangea, so I can cut them wherever I want. But see how long the stem is?
That's a really long stem.
Imagine if this was weighed down with heavy icy snow. I've seen it. I wish I had pictures. I didn't stop to take pictures, but I remember one of our first winters, that limelight hydrangea hedge, they were just splayed out flat and frozen to the ground.
We couldn't even pull them back up.
And I just had to like go around and just to save the trunks from splitting and stuff. But again, that's our area. You might not experience that in your area. You might be in that area that gets light, fluffy, beautiful snow. Right?
Yeah. Really, really, really cold winters, you're probably fine because your snow is just going to gently come down.
Yeah. And where are those areas? Let us know in the comments because, you know, maybe we'll think about relocating there. I always feel like Zone 7 is the perfect gardening zone.
Yeah, they're going to get heavy snow if they get it because they're in the more mild areas.
Yes, but they don't get too cold. They get to grow basically everything.
Yeah, no fair, Zone 7. You guys get everything.
No, I think it's fair. Good for you, Zone 7. If you live in Zone 7, let us know in the comments, like, why Zone 7's so awesome. Or let us know why it's not awesome, and then it'll subdue our envy. In front of me are Tough Stuff Top Fun hydrangeas. These are brand new for us this year. I'm not deadheading them at all because it looks like their blooms are pretty much disintegrating.
Yeah, they're already kind of falling apart.
So I don't think they need to be deadheaded. I don't think they're going to catch the snow. I think they're fine. I do think I'm going to take some of these Little Lime Punch heads back. Little Lime Punch blooms on new wood. It's a Panicle hydrangea. It's an improved version of Little Lime. It does take longer to get established, so you're not going to see all the beautiful attributes it has right away. Gets a darker color, blooms earlier in the season. Very excited for this. The thing I love about gardening too is like, there's so many ways to do it. There's very few hard and fast rules. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, there are some, obviously, but here is another Limelight Prime. This one is definitely getting deadheaded. And behind me, Christopher, you can show them the Let's Dance Can-Dos. Let's Dance Can-Dos bloom on old and new wood.
And their blooms have disintegrated. So
yeah,
they're good.
So that's cool. Less work for us. Are you ready to look at the Limelight hedge? We have this for the Limelight hedge. This is our hedge trimmer. We've never done this before.
It's going to work great.
But it's a lot of blooms to deadhead.
I tested it. It's going to work.
Again, this is not the pruning video for the Limelight hedge. Limelight hydrangeas bloom on new wood. So in the spring, we're going to go back and shape them and prune them. But for now, because we had a number of things. We had mites this summer, so we want to get rid of those blooms. We want to break out the leaves that are underneath it and dispose of them. But we also want to protect them because those are the hydrangeas I learned that the heavy snow can really mess with. So let's go.
Where are you going?
To the back. I'm going to start at the back of the hedge in case I really mess it up. Then no one will see it.
Okay, I'll come with you. Oh, just get in there. You
I
got
know.
this.
This is just deadheading. This is not pruning. So let's see what happens. I love that.
I told you.
I know. I am the person that's like, plants are so delicate and they're so precious. And Christopher's like, they're plants. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Now, I don't know if we can wholeheartedly recommend this way of deadheading for everyone, but for 15 Limelight hydrangeas, this works for us. I'm going to go through and rake the tops of the shrubs to get out any loose leaves or blooms onto the ground. We're going to clean all of this up. We're going to be very careful to remove it because we did have some mites. We don't have any freezing temperatures in the next couple of days, so I think we're going to come through and spray with a miticide when we're done. What do you think, Christopher?
I think this is fun.
I kind of had a blast. I'm not going to lie. But again, this was deadheading, not pruning. We will prune in the spring.
I want to try putting the bagger on and see if I can do it slowly. If our baby hedge trimmer cuts through this stuff, our fancy lawnmower is fine.
Yeah, you can try it. Put it on the highest setting.
Yeah, like a vacuum.
Where's the bag? Where's the bag?
Bag?
The bag on the mower.
Good thinking. That'd have been funny.
I don't know about you.
It's working.
Didn't it just die out?
It did just turn off,
I
but
don't think it's working. How is that working? Are you sure we're not just
wait, nothing's coming into the bag. How does that work? Nothing.
That means it's clogged. Turn it upside down. Turn the mower on its side. Just flip it.
It's heavy.
Just here, lift right here. It was a great thought.
Wait, what? How does it get in the bagger?
I don't know.
Is
that plugged with grass? We'll be back after a short break. Christopher, I believe right in here there's a plug. Here, we got to flip it on its side, or on its base.
It was doing the best. It was really working.
What? Yeah, you have to take that plug out.
I can't get it. Don't film
I think you have to take that plug out. I have no idea. And, you know, forbid we read directions. Maybe that doesn't come out.
It looks like it comes out.
But behind it, is there still like a solid wall?
Oh, that'll make my life easy. Yes.
Weird.
No, it does come out.
Oh, and that is attached to the solid wall.
That is attached to the solid wall. So we just gotta figure out how to pull this out.
I feel like it slides in easy because I kind of remember sliding it in when we first bought it. Does it shift to the left or right? Because those are directions you haven't tried yet.
You try. You've got gloves on.
You're like, it's working so well.
Well, it is. I mean, it's really chopping that stuff up.
Oh, there's a little tab there.
Success. Oh, good.
Well, now it should work.
Yeah, I mean, it's chopping it all up perfectly.
I usually do the lawn mowing around here, around these here parts.
All right, let's try it again.
This side, okay. It's like a vacuum.
I knew it was gonna work.
Now we have to dispose of all of these. And so we'll start raking these up. We'll probably gorilla cart them. Probably a mix of mowing them.
This worked really well.
Yeah, I mean,
it's too bad it had the mites, or this would be great mulch.
I know.
All right, so Eric handles our hydrangeas. I typically handle the roses. I think roses get a bad rap for being difficult and taking, so much care and all that. I don't think so. I think that as long as you are doing the bare maintenance that you need to do, you're going to get beautiful, beautiful roses. In this case, Teasing Georgia from David Austin, it's a climber, clearly, has climbed way beyond this 5-foot Essex trellis. And 7 foot. Is this 7 foot?
I don't know, but I'm going to look up Teasing Georgia's stats while you're talking.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is bring her back in, and I'm going to tie in any of the canes that I know I want saved. We know that roses are going to bloom on new wood and all that, so I am not afraid of pulling her back pretty far. Also, I'm really not afraid of pulling her back that far.
12 feet.
12, okay.
Well, I think the plan was like we were going to wrap it around and like do a spiraling thing around this trellis.
But I just think, honestly, I think she's too big of a rose
for this trellis.
For this trellis in general. We could do the wrapping thing around the Jardin Tower, which would be really cool.
Yes, but also, to be fair, in our defense, we did not anticipate Teasing Georgia to grow so vigorously.
I've never seen a plant grow this fast in one season. ever.
I mean, this was planted last year.
Yeah,
So if you want a vigorous climbing rose, Season Georgia is the way to go. This is planted on the east side of the house, so it gets sun all morning till about 1 p.m.
That's it. And it bloomed beautifully. And you'll see, I mean, this cane in here, Eric, if you want to pan in, look at how thick this got in 1 year. This is definitely going to be used next year. These little shoots, if these are just in my way right now, I don't mind cutting them. Obviously, they're going to grow. And all I want to do for today is tame this a little bit and make sure that nothing gets weighed down and snaps over winter, similar to what we do with the hydrangeas, obviously.
Because this is not like the rose pruning for the season. This is just getting it prepped for winter.
Yes, this is just preparing. There's nothing really to deadhead, obviously. But if I can take some of these major canes away.
Is Season Georgia a pretty prickly rose?
I would say she's not abnormally prickly, but what she has that's a little different than, say, Gertrude Jekyll or James L. Austin. Look at the size of these thorns.
Wow. Which is maybe why they don't hurt as bad, because they're not like that micro needle.
Yeah, it's not like you're having a spa treatment every time that you go by it.
I feel like Gertrude Jekyll is the devil of the garden, because
she's aggressive.
You go near her and you're just bleeding.
And then what I'm gonna do, like some of these canes that are on the large side are actually outside of the trellis. Ow! Rose gauntlets are not foolproof. That is for sure.
I know.
Just gonna tie some of these in. I've got some wire with me. And this is just, again, to keep the plant from getting damaged by any heavy snow. In the past, some of our roses have had pretty major dieback where the top of the cane or stem will die back and it'll just blacken all the way to a foot from the ground.
And so that happens, we think, in spring, while late winter, it'll start to warm up and then it'll freeze again, and it'll start to warm up and it'll freeze again. And then, so those stems are filling with water or liquid or whatever they're filling with, and then freezing, and then thawing and freezing and thawing. So I think that is what causes that for us in our area.
Right, and we know that that's going to be cut out. So our idea in not doing our major pruning and simply doing our cutback, what do we want to call this?
Winter preparation.
Winter preparation. The reason we're doing this and leaving such long canes is if there is dieback, we don't want it to start 3 feet from the ground. We want it to start 5 feet
up there,
from the ground.
because that's going to get pruned in the spring anyway.
So then I'll take out my wire here. And I do have these kind of cool clippy dudes that I picked up on Amazon. Sometimes that works. You can grab a couple of them and get them tied to the trellis. And then just this long piece of wire here, I'm going to scoop up this whole chunk over here just to pull it in closer and secure it for winter. Now, I'm also at this time of year looking at leaves. Defoliating a rose for winter, I find necessary if you have damaged leaves, if you have heavy black spot, anything that you don't want to fall down on the ground and overwinter. In this case, this rose is in pretty good shape.
I'd say fantastic shape.
But if you were up close, you would see that some of these leaves here have darkened a little bit. Now that could be fall color, that could be leaf spot, some kind of something. And if that's the case and I see a ton of it, I'm simply going to defoliate those pieces. I usually hold the very tippy top of the stem and just kind of pluck, 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 and get rid of that. Throw that away and get that away from the crown of the plant. And then in the summertime or springtime, when they start to leaf out, there's none of that ugliness already in the ground around them. The one other step that I started including in our rose prep is chicken wire cages. Very big technology moment, right? So I took a big long roll of chicken wire. I think it was 3 feet, and I cut that whole thing in half. It took forever with wire cutters. And I made little loops. Don't have to wire tie them or anything. I'm going to wrap this around the base of the plant. The reason for that, bunnies.
Those rabbits.
The bunnies have been ruthless in the last couple springs, but not this past spring, because last year I started making these little cages.
And if anything, at least it prevents them from eating them to the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want me to hand you another one?
Yes, please. This is not big enough.
Chicken wire can also be ferocious, I feel like.
I do think so. What I like about this is it sticks to itself, so you don't have to get zip ties and everything out. You just got to make sure they can't get in there and chew on your plant. There's one other thing for winter, and that's why we save 1 wheelbarrow of compost. And I take 1 scoop like this, dump it in there, 1 more scoop because this is a big one. So the compost just gives it that tiny bit of extra insulation, just a little extra mulch.
And nutrients in the spring.
And nutrients in the spring. Keep the soil improving. And then we'll just let it go. That's all we'll do for this climbing rose.
So Cheesy Georgia is ready for winter.
Ready for winter. All right, so we're over here at a shrub rose. This is James L. Austin that we just mentioned, is lethal in terms of its thorns. There's tons of them, but there's these little micro thorns in the middle. See that? There's
yeah,
like little...
I have gotten those stuck and gotten infections from them. They're pretty rough.
So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this giant chunk of Mary Rose behind it. That doesn't need to be involved in this explanation. And all I'm going to do for this shrub rose, I've inspected. I see the leaves are clean, healthy. They're still shiny at this time of year. I'm just going to take it down a little bit. I don't want it this tall. I don't want the wind catching it and flopping it all around. So I'm just going to pull some of the height off.
I feel like that's plenty.
Yeah, that's about it. It's not really deadheading or pruning. It's just preparing it.
Yeah, because in the spring, once buds start to swell, you'll go in and do a more...
Then I'll do my actual pruning, where I'll work on things like opening the center of the rose, working on my more vase shape that we want, and getting the overall plant prepared to do its best. And this...
See, they're getting bigger this year, Christopher. You need 2 pieces now for each one. Oh, you made it work.
Nope, I made it around. This is fine, because I honestly don't need any more than that. I just need them to look good.
Occasionally, it makes it a stepping stone for the bunny to get up to the higher ones, but at least, again, it prevents them from eating it to the ground.
I think that's good. So this is a very wobbly rose, I think, again, because it didn't get as much of the sunlight. It didn't really get some strong canes. So if this gets ice on it, this is going to be on the ground, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to take off a little bit. Same thing here. When I actually prune it, I probably won't take it down too much further to the ground than that, but I'll be spending more time on the interior of the rose. So that's about all it's going to need for right now to be put to bed for winter.
There's Christopher's giant roll of
it's all pre-cut. It's just the way that I tried to store it. I thought that would be more convenient. Let me just wrap this up. This is some phlox that was tucked in behind. And that's it.
There you go, Millie.
Millie on the Flossie gets her little scoop.
She's already got leaves in there.
Already got some leaves in there. Insulated and ready for winter.
I mean, normally we leave our leaves in the bed because they'll just break down and add nutrients to the soil. But as we're coming upon more critters, I'm starting to second guess that.
So here we have the generous gardener in its first year from bare root in the ground. This has been
amazing. It reached the top.
It made it to the top. So because it's a climber and because we want to maintain all these great vertical canes, I'm only going to pull out my wire and tie them in so they don't get blown all over the place. The reason this rose looks so interesting, if you didn't know, there is a clematis growing through it. It is Betty Corning, really pretty kind of periwinkle lilac-y flower. And it's growing up through the rose. It's been a very successful pairing. Now, Generous Gardener, one of the loveliest roses to work with. Big thorns, but not super angry thorns. So I'm just going to twist tie this up. These wires are all going to probably come off when I retrain everything.
Ooh, I have a picture, Christopher, of when we trained it this spring. We should show it on the screen.
Yes.
I think it was one of the first photos I posted on Instagram for the season.
I was trying this twist tying method and all that, and it worked. It did really well, but then obviously it just keeps growing and growing. Roses are very hardy plants.
So I have a question. Betty Corning, clematis.
Yeah.
In the spring, what are we doing with her?
So she is a type 3 clematis. I believe the term is Vitacella kind of clematis, which I had gone in a Facebook rose group and I said, hey everybody, I'm going to plant Generous Gardener. What group do I plant with the rose so that it's successful? And I was worried about pruning and all that. Now, if you asked me to describe why it is class 3 and what that means, unfortunately, I could not answer right now because I can't remember.
But I guess my question is, do we cut this one to the ground in the spring or do we leave it?
That would be what determines whether it's class 1, 2,
so we have
to
look. Because
we just have to look. Either this gets left alone. I don't believe this gets left alone. I am pretty sure that this one gets cut to 18 inches in the springtime.
All right. Well, it's very vigorous.
So that is all we're going to do as far as cutting or anything. These are all already tied in. That's what I've been using, is this green wire throughout the season, just to, if something shoots awry.
I love this arch so much. I love it because it's so big.
Yes, something that we see a lot is a climbing rose on an arch, and when you go to walk through it, you get attacked. But this is so wide.
Yeah, is it 6 feet wide and 8 feet tall?
Yeah, this is a great success for us. Oh, I already have a clip on this one, but the rose got so big it pulled itself off. Clip it on.
And then we just got to protect it from the bunnies.
Protect it from the bunnies. Oh, this one I have black spray paint on. I was trying an experiment to see if we could leave them out all year. But that would be a lot of black spray paint. Do they make black chicken wire? So I would say this is a pretty simple process for this time of year. Some of the roses need obviously more work than others. But overall, that's all we're going to be doing with the roses. And what did we just do? About 6 of them, which means we only have about 45 more to do.
Yeah, we should head behind you and do Crown Princess Margarita and Litchfield Angel. Are we going to put these away yet?
These have a lot of perennials around them. I think...
but Crown Princess is already protected.
Oh, she is already protected.
We left her rabbit protector up already, so that's great.
That is good. And you know what? I see one cane right here that was trying to grow into the birch tree. I'll cut that. Maybe I'll just cut these because they're poking me. And that puts her to sleep for winter. That's pretty good.
She just needs some compost for nutrients when she wakes up. We probably should come back here and get rid of this Baptisia and stuff at some point.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot more perennial cleanup to do.
So I guess we'll continue the journey around the garden on the roses and call it a day.
That is a full day.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on our preparation for winter and how we get our hydrangeas prepared and how we get the roses prepared. Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me 5B.
Thanks for growing with us.